It is 12 o'clock on Wednesday, and this is part of the OGs at 11 on Thursday, so we got a special session just for guests that uh, supposedly he does holistic healing, he makes you whole, and a bunch of other things. We want to thank you for tuning in to OGs at 11. And today we are really going to get into what we can do to make our bodies whole, our spirit whole, and the whole terminology from biblical to science. My name is Lewis Jackson. I'm your host today. We are brought to you by the Russian Fund. Fair Russian is the lead attorney. We also brought Miss Betty. Will put you in a house. If you need a house, don't have one, we'll make sure you got one. Lawrence will have you watching your home from wherever you are with our watchmyhouse.com so you can see it, test it, see it, what's going on around your house, whether you got wanted or unwanted guests. And A to Z will imprint any item that you want. Supposedly, he told me that they print over 500,000 items. As long as it's moral and got some legal terms in it, we'll get a chance to do it. We don't jump right into our discussion. We got to my left here, I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves because they know more about themselves than I do. I have to, when somebody don't do what they're supposed to do, I have to say it. Miss Betty did not get me a bio, so we are going to have a good time with a good discussion with Dr. Bombay and his guests. So we're going to start the far left. He's going to introduce himself, and then the doctor going to introduce himself.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Christopher McCray. I'm a nutritionist and detox consultant by way of Columbia, South Carolina, now operating here in Lithonia, Georgia. Location is over at Stonecrest Mall.
And what's it called?
Soul to Soul Detox. That's the name of the business.
Soul to Soul Detox. So
Yes.
make sure that you give them a phone number, email, so we can see what's going on.
Absolutely. That's Soul, SOLE, the number 2, Soul, SOUL, Detox, DETOX.com.
So soul to soul. That means that you can, whatever soul in your soul, you can take it out and make sure it's whole.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Doc. Tell us a little about you.
Okay. My name is actually Swami Sachendra. I was born in India. Back in
Where Bombay come from?
I started healing people. I was working on doctors, and they started calling me doctor.
Okay, all right.
So they started calling me Dr. Bombay because I'm from India. You know how when you're a man of color, you come to this country, you're going to get called more names than you were born with.
Okay. Okay. Now, the reason that you one of the fellas here that you heal, I won't say heal, I will say that you worked on, and he's done very well. He's our head engineer, and he wanted the world to know some of the things that you can do. Now, I understand that you are from a long line of doctors in your family.
Yes. My father's a retired physician. My older brother's a neurologist. My younger brother's a radiologist. And I was supposed to go into surgery. But when I saw what they were doing in this country with surgery, I couldn't face it.
What do you mean you can face it?
Because you know what? I'll tell you something. 50 to 60% of surgeries that are done in America, if not more, they go downhill. The person never really truly recuperates.
So you're telling me if there is a we gonna say if there's a rotten apple in the body when you take the rotten apple out, it has already affected the other part of the body.
Right, but see, the concept of medicine in this country, there's what's the goal that they have? You should have a goal. When you do something, there should be a goal.
They do have a goal.
And what is that?
That is to get you back where you can start being productive again.
Okay.
Nobody is trying to make you whole, because then the physician won't have you to come back the next week. Now, you tell me that if you cure somebody and you get them whole or well, then they don't need to call you no more.
Well, first of all, we don't use the word cure because the only thing we cure is buffalo hide and snakeskin. It's their jurisdiction to cure. We make you whole. And what is the goal of every surgeon? Let's backtrack for a second.
Okay.
Let's go back to India for a minute.
Go back to where?
India.
Okay,
for a minute.
go ahead.
Come with me to India. In India, there's a science known as Ayurveda. Have you ever heard of it?
No, what is that?
Okay, Ayurveda is one of the oldest medical systems on the planet. Okay, and it came by way of Africa.
Okay, I often said now, all the medical stuff back a long time ago came from Africa.
That's
now,
right.
it did not. There ain't nothing started nowhere else before Africa.
That's what I'm just saying.
Some part of Africa.
Yes.
You see India.
I said in India is what they state that is holding on to this system, that we have held on to this system for a long time. It came by way of Africa.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
It is a collective works from India and Africa together from the old days, and it was actually put into books, which is what Ayurveda means. Ayus, which means life. Veda means book, so it's the life book, or if you read from east to west, the book of life, which is what Ayurveda is all about. And in Ayurveda, it has listed surgery. Surgery is one of the modalities that is listed in Ayurveda. We have the surgical equipments that they use nowadays. If you go look back in the text 1,000 years ago, you will see that the instruments that they're using now look just like the instruments that we drew in these books years ago.
They had, back in those days, the only thing they could do was take a bullet out of you and sew up a wound. They were not going in there taking your heart out and fixing it.
Yes, they were.
Because when you take the heart out, you got to be able to stop the heart,
right,
and restart it.
Right.
They had nothing to stop or restart a heart back in those days.
You're not stopping the heart when you're doing surgery. You're just doing anesthesia, which can stop your heart, which is what happened to some people, out here. But
you're trying to say once it stops, sometimes it don't start back.
Yeah, well, you're not stopping a heart to do surgery. That's outrageous because you the heart slows down. The anesthesia is so that the nerves, you don't feel the nerves when they cut through you.
I understand, but the heart has to slow so you won't bleed to death by pushing.
Right, now let's talk about that. But back in India that we're aware of, over 8,000 years ago, there was a gentleman by the name of Dhanwantri. Dhanwantri was considered the baddest surgeon on the planet. This guy, in order to teach his pupils, his top students, he would have them cut off his arm and reattach it. The plastic.
Wait a minute. Now, let's back up a little bit on that. Let's back up a bit on that. Now, see, let's be realistic about this thing.
Very realistic.
You said to teach his kids, his students, they would cut his arm off and reattach it.
Correct.
If he was doing classes once a year or twice a year and they was cutting his arm off, it would have done fell off. There ain't no way they could attach nerves back.
How many years did you go to
Ain't
school?
no way in the world they could attach nerves back, but no one time because you gotta. That's a precision that they didn't have back in those days.
Are you kidding? We plastic surgery, 4000 BC. The top plastic surgeon from India, his name was Sachendra. He used to make noses out of leaves. That's right. And if you're talking about surgery, not only that a surgeon cutting you, but how about if I was to tell you that you have herbs fruits that also perform surgery. Okay.
Wait a minute. Now you got to go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
we'll go to that in a minute.
Look at this is a realistic show.
It's very real.
And what we say on this is something that you can stick your fork in and you will know that it's real.
Absolutely.
So now what you're telling my audience is that whatever you say, it has to be real. Now I do know that some of the real things one real thing that you did, now you've done, was the engineer here. He believed that he had a bunch of mucus in his body, and I was just asking him. He said something about you put some in his ears or something, and it all come out.
Yeah.
Did all the mucus come out?
Yes, sir.
So now, how long will he have to continue to put this stuff in his ear in order to keep it from reoccurring?
Okay, let's do a little history on him. 7 years he had this sinus type problems.
Right.
He had headaches behind it.
Yeah.
He had breathing problems, snoring,
Right.
Respiratory problems. He couldn't even lift his chest to breathe fully. He felt like he was only using 30% of his chest.
Okay.
So the heart is working even harder because you've got to get that oxygen in your body.
Okay.
So that's where we were talking about the heart situation too.
Right.
How do we make the heart not work so hard so it won't collapse from overwork?
Well, I know a little about the heart because I got a severe heart condition. It pumps 15% of the blood and it's been like that for the last 16 years that I've known. And the way you keep going is that you're right. You make it the heart easier to pump blood, And sometimes when I get up, I have to stand up slow.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to stand there a minute before I can move because if I jump right up, I'm subject to fall out.
Right. Exactly.
Now, like I say, I know a little bit how the heart works. That's why when I see it, that when you operate on it, you had to slow it down to it looks like it has stopped. Because if you pump too much blood, then something ain't gonna come out right.
Right.
So now back to the gentleman.
The gentleman that had the problem with the sinus, right?
Right.
So what ends up happening is that there's a therapy that we put together. My grandfather actually taught me this because he's.
Wait a minute! I thought your daddy was the.
No, my father's a physician. My grandfather's a naturopath type, holistic physician in India. My father is the one that became.
How long you been over here?
Since 1970.
Now.
That makes me an old man.
I'm trying to figure out now. When did your grandfather teach you this?
This was when I was a
little. So you had to be real small.
Yes.
And you're gonna tell me that you remembered all this?
Yes, sir. Because the way you have to remember something, when wisdom. First of all, there's different levels. When you talk about wisdom, you talk about knowledge, you talk about information. That's 3 different realms. That's 3 different levels. It takes a lot of information to get some sort of knowledge. It takes a lot of knowledge to build upon some small amount of wisdom. When the generations, the grandparents, the Veds, as they call them, like in my village in India, my grandfather was a chief. So he kept all the gold on behalf of the whole village.
He kept all the what?
Yeah, like a bank.
Yeah, I know. So he kept all the money.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I see why y'all.
Yeah,
I see. I just want to get this thing together because I thought I heard you say he kept all the gold.
Yeah, he kept the gold for the sake of the people, for the village.
I understand.
Okay. So it's like a banker, because.
I keep cutting you off. So, being a banker, who was the backup in case that he dropped off?
Well, you have the others in the village. There's always a group of elders.
Oh, cool.
Just like we have elders here.
So one bandit couldn't grab them?
No.
Okay, all right,
and we didn't have thoughts like that before.
What you mean you didn't have thoughts like that?
This is an American thinking, that you
What you mean you didn't have thoughts like that? This is a world of...
Let me tell you.
So there's no capitalistic thinking back in those days?
It's not capitalism as in the format that you in this America does. Like I just put something together. If it kills you, as long as the FDA says okay, it don't matter.
Okay.
You take it.
All right.
We don't do things like that because we have a conscience. When you have a conscience, you live amongst people in your in the village, you grew up around them like you grow around the children and whatnot. You don't have that kind of tendency. There's no rapes and stuff that was going on in the villages like they have in America.
Okay,
You know.
so you were taught about what is Hitachi?
Right. This is one of the things that I was taught about. My grandfather was also the chief conservator of forest in India under the British. And what he did was behind our house and behind most every house in India back in the days, which is the change now because of the westernization. Back in the days, we grew all these different things in our backyard, like the haritaki tree, the neem tree, the amalaki tree.
The Hitachi, you said neem tree?
Neem, right. Neem is another tree that we work with. This is the oil from it. As a matter of fact, you've heard of Mahatma Gandhi, correct?
Yeah.
Mahatma Gandhi ate the leaves of the neem tree every day. Every day. It's so bitter. It's hard to take when it's bitter, but he did it like a chutney. He never got sick. He went to England and he was still wearing a loincloth in the cold, and he didn't get sick. They tried to poison him. They couldn't because he was so immersed in the neem that it protected him. Because the neem boosts your immune system to levels that no other plant on this planet can do.
Oh, really? So, I mean, do you drink any of this stuff?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's the Hitachi.
That's the haritaki, correct.
Okay. So
let me spell the name for the viewers.
Okay.
If you can see it, it's Haritaki, haritaki. Haritaki means from the house of God. Okay. Now, just like in the animal kingdom, before I even do that, Ayurveda, as I was saying, surgery is one modality. Sweat therapy is another modality that came out of that. Acupuncture, acupressure came out of it.
Okay.
And also herbs. We meaning India, Africa,
Yeah,
Africans,
right,
Indians, we
right.
all together actually compiled all we archived actually all the herbs that are in the field. I mean, what they're doing in America now, like they're just getting a wind of acai and goji and this and that, well, we've actually documented all the herbs in the field. So we know what is what. And another thing that we did is we know the wisdom of each particular plant. Not just some information that they tell you now, well, this does this, this does that. We know the wisdom of it. That means we know how it plays in your body. Even in the Bible, it says what? Physician, heal thyself. What, you're going to go to school 8 years to heal thyself? No. So what my grandparents did was they were passing the wisdom on to me by giving me, few words and a process to think, to work, so that I could, heal people, utilizing the same things that grew in our backyard. And we didn't grow everything in our backyard. We grew the top leaders in the herbal field in our backyard. What do I mean by that? We have always believed that God has one process He applies to everything. In the animal kingdom, you have one king. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Well, in the plant kingdom, this is the king.
Well, what about the?
That's the haritaki. That's it right here.
I understand, but what about the other one, the bitter plant?
Yeah, this is bitter too. Most everything that's good for you is bitter.
Oh, it is?
Yes. The English people, even when they have their dinner, what do they have after dinner? It's called after dinner bitters. You know about that, right?
No, I don't know nothing about that, but I do know when I was there in England, they drank this bitter coffee.
Correct. They know about bitters.
Okay, well, I know that they, that was one of the things that they did all the time.
You heard about like the ginger snaps, the gingerbread man, and the gingerbread house and all that?
Right.
You know how they came along? The Queen of England.
How you know all this?
Because I read.
Okay, I want to show them. I was just waiting for you to say that your grandfather taught you all this, and I was going to say that this wasn't around when your grandfather came. Okay, go ahead.
It's okay. Next time I'll give you a chance. But what happened was they discovered ginger from the east, and she started utilizing ginger, and she found that it has a calming effect. It's very good for the digestion. If you do the ginger before you eat your food, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you could digest it very well.
So are you telling me that it's all right? Get up in the morning and make a little ginger tea.
Absolutely.
You want to cut the real ginger.
Yes.
Just like I bought some the other day, and it's been sitting there on my cabinet for 3 weeks now. The little sprouts coming up out of it.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not getting the best use of it. So if I go there now, I can cut no sprouts off and still boil it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And when you boil it, the juice that comes out of it, and when you drink it in the tea,
Mm-hmm.
it has a calming effect, a very calming effect. If your body calms down, you start to heal anyway. There's a lot of people that are tensed up and have all these stress and everything else, especially men. When they have a lot of stress in their head, they end up getting into prostate problems because it's interrelated, and that's where the concept of whole comes in that we were talking about earlier. Because the idea is, there's a saying that what you're looking to get out of surgery, what you're looking to get out of a massage, acupuncture, they all have to perform one basic thing, which is to open up the channels and meridians in your body so that energy can flow. Once the energy flows, then what happens? Your physical, emotional, mental, and your spiritual bodies are balanced.
Now, how do you connect all of these things? Okay, see, and this is what we're going to do. We're gonna run a. You and I are gonna get together after then. We're gonna run a monthly special where people can come in here, and you will be here to heal them, and they can bring you their gold, because you know your granddad believe in
Gold. We don't believe in that piece of paper.
so we can get it. So what we gotta do is figure out how you can. Let me back this up. You've been in America since 1970, right?
I've been to Memphis, yes.
And you've been doing this since you've been here.
Yes.
How many folks have you trained to do?
There's a handful of people that I'm training right now. I started off in Detroit. That's where my headquarters is.
Your headquarters there now?
Yeah.
You ain't left that place yet?
Detroit?
Right.
No, I'm still there. Detroit's a good time. It's going to come back. Detroit
but
is
the best time is here.
best time is here, Atlanta.
So you need to move your headquarters here.
Right.
And then once a month you go up there. And
that's exactly what we're doing. That's why I have this brother with me, because
yeah, we're gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Now he's what did you say you did?
I'm a nutritionist and detox consultant.
Now, I go to my nutritionist once.
and he has a background in nursing or something
Yes.
like that, so he has
I'm also a
very
patient
good.
care nurse.
A what?
Patient care nurse.
What's the patient care nurse?
Well, let's say if you were admitted to the ER or you were bedridden in ICU, between the doctors and the RNs that may be assigned to you, I'll be that next person in line to make sure that your needs are met.
Okay, now I'm glad you said that, because I fall in that category.
Okay.
I got a my nurse calls me every so often, make sure that I do. Well, we got this machine called the Health Buddy, and they ask you questions every day. And you being a how you do all these things? You're a dietitian, you're a health nurse. Which one are you working on now? Which one of these things that you're doing?
Well, I've
See, because and I'm not trying to cut you off.
You're fine.
You started mixing all this stuff up, that something ain't gonna come out right. Now, what are you doing now?
Well, what am I doing now? Currently, I'm working as a nutritionist and detox consultant out of Stonecrest Mall.
Okay.
Soul to Soul Detox. I am the owner of the business.
Okay, now when you say detox, and I got bad heart, and everybody knows it's real bad. What is it that you can take out of my body that's going my heart ain't gonna get no better, that's gonna keep it from getting any worse?
Okay. Well, what I do is I'm promoting the actual ionic detox.
What's the ionic detox?
The ionic detox consists of water, an actual electrical current coming from a machine, and me being able to pull those toxins that has been stored in your body for some period of time.
Okay, the reason I'm saying that,
Uh-huh.
you know, I had a young lady who was going to do mine the other day,
Uh-huh.
and she had this little machine. You put your foot in there, and when you're doing all this this water turned to muddy and all of that.
Those are the toxins.
But in my case, I can't do that because I got a pacemaker.
Absolutely. You would be exempt from being able to do that.
So now, what is that you can do for folks like me?
Well, in the event that you have that, we can definitely get some of the herbs, such as Dr. Bombay mentioned. That will be a natural
But
detox.
so this detox ain't for folks like me.
If you have any organs transplants, pacemakers, pregnant, breastfeeding, we wouldn't be able to do that for you. So those in that category would be exempt.
The reason I'm asking
From the ionic detox, that is.
The reason I'm asking you this,
Yes, sir.
and now when I ask the question, you just for a reason, and the reason is something ain't right with that. Because if it was good, then it would work on everybody. So this detox got something in it that ain't, or is it the machine that ain't doing right?
It's the electricity. In the event that you have a pacemaker, or you're pregnant, or either you're breastfeeding, it could definitely knock off the chemistry of the body. Absolutely. That would be counterproductive to have more electricity going into the body when you have an actual transplant.
So you gonna have Dr. Bombay to come over to your office every once in a while to make sure after you detox them that you give them the right herb.
Well, yes, he is definitely that support system as well.
Well, I just want to make sure you head in the right direction, because you seem like you're a nice, quiet fella.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked at you, I started to ask you if you were one of those fellas that went up there to that life chiropractor, because you look like you could do that kind of stuff, but you went somewhere else.
Yes, sir. I have 12 years of education. I'm a graduate of South Carolina State University and Claflin University out of Orangeburg, South Carolina.
Yeah, I know about the schools. You know, we used to beat them in Claflin in sports. Now, go ahead on.
And I've been practicing ever since then. So it's been about 12 years. Now
How
since
did
I've
you
been-
guys meet up?
Well, I believe in divine connection, where I was led to be in a health environment area, Seven Otters, right, downtown Atlanta. We were there, and I was drawn. You know, the energy for what he was putting out there in the atmosphere. It wasn't by coincidence that I was drawn to that. And then after hearing him give this presentation to those who were already present, it was only natural for me to intervene as a nutritionist.
Okay, well, that's good. Now, Doc, you say they call you Doc. You know, we got so many different kind of doctors these days. You know, you can, if you speak well, somebody give you a title doctor. And since you were working with folks, you were healing folks. That's how you got yours.
That's correct.
Do you do group therapy, or you just do individual counseling?
We can do either or. There's no limitations to how we handle things, because a lot of times you might get one person that has different way of handling things. That, you know, everybody's unique as it is, but there are some people that maybe have a tougher problem that you got to solve. So we don't limit ourselves to closed solutions. We're open-minded, and that allows us to really actually end up healing people.
Well, what you don't do? What if somebody, just like in my case, where I got a pacemaker and I got a bad heart, is it any disease that you exclude yourself from?
None.
So you are well versed in most diseases, or you got one standard things, like you got a government say one fit all. Is that kind of the thing that you do?
Not necessarily. There are certain things that fit in that way for a lot of people, but if what we do is, okay, let me explain the approach that we take.
Right.
You know, maybe this is what my grandfather told me, so you'll see the wisdom in what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
Okay. When you have a disease, my grandfather told me, for example, when you have a disease, you're at war with disease because your intention is to get rid of it. Your intention is to get rid of that disease. I have diabetes. I have a disease. Now what do I do? So once I know I have the problem. My goal first is to get rid of it, and the method that you do it is by going to war with it. And he would explain that to me. And when you go into war with it, you send an army, not a couple of police officers, to go fight the war. And in that army, there has to be a leader. So this fruit becomes the leader.
This is the leader.
This is the leader. And then the other fruits that I mentioned, they also are generals, because that's what we use. We use the highest intelligent plants. This fruit is considered to be a wise fruit. This is the same fruit that was listed in the Bible in Genesis when they were talking about the tree of life. You know, there was a tree of life that had a fruit that was wise that gave Adam his life.
Right.
Then we were told to stay away from what? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Right.
See, wisdom, knowledge, two different levels. And then when we ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we will surely know death our days. And look around you, people dying like flies. They just drop it.
But you know what? It always amazed me that they had the tree of life, then they had this tree that said, do not touch.
Yeah.
Now, this tree that said, do not touch, when they touched it, it overtook the tree of life. Something about that.
No, that's not what happened, brother.
Well,
let me explain what happened.
Wait a minute, let me ask one more question.
Sure.
When